Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Corner at 124. I'm Dwayne Hulett alongside Shelby Burgett, and we got a couple basketball coaches we'll introduce to you in a couple minutes. And Shelby, the Community News Brief, TSSR Game Time Live comes back again. This time it's basketball coaches, and doesn't seem like basketball season should be here yet, but here it is.
It's going to come when it's going to come, So the fall went extremely quick, it seemed like. We seemed like we were just talking, football, volleyball, whatever fall, and now here we are. We're getting ready to dive into hoop time.
Yeah, hoop time it is, and a couple new coaches to the area, one on each side of us here. We'll start down beside you. Let the coaches introduce themselves.
Justin Elby, Macomb Bombers girls varsity coach. His first year doing it, and really looking forward to it.
I'm Shane Curry. I'm in the new varsity boys basketball coach at Bushnell-Prairie City. First year as well as a varsity coach and ready to go.
Well, guys, I know that you guys are new to varsity coaching, but neither one of you are new to coaching or playing for that matter. Justin, you've been coaching in the Macomb School District for quite a while, just not at the varsity level.
Yeah, I used to do junior high boys, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth at as far as basketball-wise, and then I've been doing high school baseball the last couple of years as well. So, but, yeah, looking forward to these girls here, and because, I think it's kind of going to be a new era. Hopefully for the better, and we can kind of continue on what Jackson Coach Kane had been doing. I've been talking to him, kind of been in his ear a little bit about stuff, but yeah, new to the varsity thing, and we've had 10 practices so far, and each one I think we're getting a little better. So,
well, Coach, you are obviously a former player, but you also have cut your teeth coaching some younger sports as well, haven't you?
Yeah, coached a lot at the BTBA levels with boys basketball, obviously some junior high boys basketball as well. Done some, JFL, junior high football with some boys, but just this opportunity to get this varsity group was just an opportunity I just did not want to pass up. A lot of talent in Bushnell. Bushnell's always been known for having talented boys. Just really want to bring out the intensity in them. And these last 4 practices we've had, it's been very intense, and you can tell there's a lot of excitement around the area and with that group right now.
Justin, you've had a success as a basketball player, just celebrating your 50th birthday. I remember when you went to Southeastern, you guys had some pretty good teams back in the day. So hoping to parlay some of that experience and that winning feeling and bringing that to the girls team and letting them see what that feels like.
Sure, yeah, we were real successful. We had a lot of good dudes, back from Augusta and Bowen area when I grew up. So we were very fortunate to have some good coaches, and that was a big thing. And coaches like Todd Fox, Dave Swicegood. We had a lot of years playing for them guys, and I and Mike Frey a little bit too, and just to look up to some of those guys, those coaches, it meant a lot to us kids, and hopefully, 20, 30 years from now, some of these girls that we're coaching now feel that same way. I learned a lot from them guys, not just about basketball, but just how to carry yourself. And, I think of them a lot, still talk to Coach Fox, quite a bit basketball-wise. He's good to bend his ear as well. But yeah, we were successful. And, I think that's why I still love the game. I have a passion for it. And hopefully that's going to show through these girls in how well and how hard they play.
Coach, you were at Knoxville. Before we go any further, does it hurt to coach at Bushnell being a Knoxville guy? Because, when I went to school in Bushnell, we, no offense, hated Knoxville.
Well, there's a calendar on our home refrigerator with January 26th that's circled. That's when we go to Knoxville. So I guess essentially I'm going home, and hopefully it's not going to be a nice homecoming for them. It's going to be a good homecoming for myself. So,
but you had some success, I think, back when you were playing. Knoxville was always pretty good at most sports back when you were in school and before that as well. So you bring that kind of lineage as well, don't you?
Yeah, I've been blessed where I've had a lot of great coaches, in my high school years. I had John Hughes when I was in high school. I had Toby Vowles, which is now at Farmington. He was my football coach. We all know all the great things Toby's done over at Farmington. So it's been a lot of guys that I can really lean on and kind of send texts, send calls whenever I want, just for some advice. And it's just kind of great to have that support.
You got anything, Shelb? I don't want to take over from you here. I always do.
It's because you like talking.
I know. I like hearing my own voice, apparently.
Yeah.
LB knows that.
Yeah, so.
Hey, I like listening to it. I'm glad that you're bringing stuff like this to the area, because I right now I can't keep up with everybody texting and calling and saying, hey, when's your first game? When how are you girls going to be? How your girls are going to be? And who do you play? Who's on your schedule? So this right here is a good time to get that stuff out. Hopefully, a lot of people watch this and they can, our first games are next week. We play Monday night, Wednesday, Friday, and then 2 games on Saturday. So, and out at the Macomb High School. So some people have asked, do we play at Washington Street? Well, all season long we will, other than next week. Next week our tournament is at the high school, and really good competition next week. We play Illini Bluffs on Monday night. And they're tough. They went to the sectional final, I believe, last year. We played them last year 2 times. We beat them once, and they beat us once. So I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup. Our girls are looking forward to it. But, we have a tough week. Next week we play the 3rd game, which I believe is at 8 o'clock, I think. Mm-hmm. I think there's games at is it 5, 6:30?
6:30 and 8.
And 8, yeah. So this is my first time being this involved in the tournament. So and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are the games. So
is it kind of a two-edged sword right out of the gate? I mean, you're going to play IB, you're going to play Urbana, you're going to play Alleman, you're going to play Canton, and top it off with IDub. I mean, How do you kind of temper things in that opening week, no matter which way they go, good or bad?
Sure. Well, hopefully they go better than worse. But, at this point, I just don't want to be overly results-oriented. We want to win all 5 games. But if we don't, I don't want that to disappoint us. As long as we play hard, we're getting the stuff in that we want the girls to do. We're going to play a little bit different than how they played in the past. And as long as we're getting a little better, I know we've had 10 practices. We had a scrimmage tonight. I brought in some refs, and we did an inter-squad scrimmage. And I know that we're a lot better tonight than on day one. And if we can keep that up, I like playing the tough competition right off the bat. Kind of gives you a gauge, I guess, of what we need to work on. I think I know a lot of the things that we need to work on, but until you throw the ball up and get up and down the court and people are guarding you 5-on-5, then that's what really shows what you really need to work on. And hopefully, we're smart enough to figure that out, what we need to do. But I got a good staff. Abby Thorman, she's the JV coach and helps a lot. And she's coached, I think, 4 or 5 years probably.
I think so, yeah.
And the girls love her. She's got a good relationship with them, and they might listen to her a little better than me maybe. But she knows basketball, and she helps in a lot of that area. And then Coach Connell is our freshman coach, and he helps as well. So, hopefully we can figure that out. But that first week, double-edged sword. Would I like to get, 3-4 wins in? That would be great, and we might not. But we're not going to be overly disappointed in that. Like I said, not being real results-oriented. We're just going to try to get better.
Obviously, it's a deal where, and you guys both know, obviously, in February is when you want to be playing your best. So, you got to start somewhere, and obviously tough tournaments, and you're in the same boat up at Bushnell for the boys. So, I mean, obviously you guys understand that, coming out of the gate, having to play 5 games the opening week will be challenging.
Yeah, I mean, just like you, Coach, was saying as well, we're running a gauntlet our first week. We open up with West Prairie, and then there's Macomb and Illini West and Abington and Illini Bluff. And like we've told our boys too, we're not going to get discouraged on our first 5 games, but we're going to find out who we are real quick and what we need to work on, and we're going to put a lot of good tape out there to see what we need to work on, and we will. I mean, these boys, what we've seen these first 4 days is they want to work. They're ready to work, and we're going to throw everything at them and see what they can handle.
And that's kind of where you're at as new coaches, right? I mean, you try to use what the other coaches use to some extent, but you have to coach the players and then try to incorporate what you guys want to do with the players that you have, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, yeah. It's just when you're getting your stuff in that first week or two, and of course all the stuff for Coach and myself for these kids, it's all new. The verbiage, all of our defenses are colors, all of our offenses are numbers. Where we're putting pressure on the offense defensively is a little bit different than what they're used to. And, some of the sets and offenses we run are a lot different than what they're used to. So that first, 2 weeks is pretty vital, and every night I've kind of come home a little discouraged, but at the end of the day, when I think about it, I'm a little bit encouraged because I just say, hey, did we get better today? And I think we have. Like I said, the girls they played hard every single night. They were just soaking wet tonight when we got done, and I think that's a win right there. If you can get them to play hard and dive for those loose balls and just give everything they got. I think that's a win at the end of the day, from practice time.
Coach Curry, I would say that from his aspect, it's a little different. His team last year was used to winning. You guys, as a team, struggled to win games last year. So maybe for him, it's a little easier to get that. Have you seen, you mentioned when we were talking before, you have a couple seniors that are kind of pushing the kids, but have you seen that work ethic or that stick-to-itiveness that's going to take to get to that next level?
No, and it's funny you talk about those seniors because 2 of them just walked in here and gave me a quick wave. So Logan Ash, Connor Palm, D. Ruffin Thomas, Ryan Adler, those are 4 seniors that we got to spend some time in the fall during open gyms. And I told them, like, as a starting coach, my first-year coach, I'm going to lean on you guys. I'm going to lean on you guys the most on how we're going to start this program, how we're going to build our culture for Spartans. And I've stated, I don't know how you felt about your last 3 years, but we're going to make this last one memorable, and we're going to win games. They might have to be ugly games, but we're going to win the games we're supposed to, and the games on paper that we're not supposed to, we're going to shock the world. And come, like you said, come February, we're going to surprise some people. So it's a work in progress, but we're ready to work.
He's kind of come from, you guys won games last year, and these girls that you're coaching are used to winning.
Yeah.
But they lost some key contributors to that team.
Sure.
So you're going to need some kids to step up. Right?
Yeah, we lost 4 full-time starters. I've got, Kylie Robinson, hard to replace. She just had 30-some points in the college game the other night. That's tough to do, But we have Sophie Wilson that has stepped into that. She practiced and played against Kylie every night for the last 3 years, and she is ready. And she's a dog out there, and she's really been impressive from the competing standpoint. She can make shots. She gets the ball where it needs to be. And then we have Jordan Hines, who is just an amazing athlete. She's just a high-caliber, high-level athlete, and I'm going to try to put her in the right positions for her to showcase that. And she's returning. And then we have Dakota Thorman, and she started some games last year, and she's just a workhorse. We did lose Ella Hare because she tore her ACL, and she'd be our tallest girl. She was our best shooter. She was our the leading scorer, I think, from all the girls that were coming back. So that's a big loss. But she's been coming to practices. She wants to be a part of it.
That says something about a kid, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's an amazing girl. She just got done with surgery. Her knee was tore all to heck, and she just wanted to be there. Coach, I want to be there, and the girls love it. So I think that's kind of the glue that's going to help stick our team together. And then we got another senior that hasn't played for a couple years, but she came out, Jordan Shootman, and she's going to help. She's a workhorse. She was a good volleyball player. She's a three-sport athlete: softball, basketball, volleyball, and then our only junior is Aubrey Holthouse. And everybody knows the Holthouse name, how athletic, how great of a family that is, how great those kids are, and how athletic they are. And she's going to be one of the best juniors, I think, in our area. She is. She played varsity last year. Some didn't start, but she's going to be one to watch for. Her name's going to be in the headlines a lot.
Shelb, I know you obviously see all these teams probably even more than I do in some respects, and you get to see them from a different perspective. And you've been around these kids. I mean, you remember when Justin was playing even. You definitely when Coach Curry was playing for sure, and I'm old enough to remember that, for God's sake.
Shelby can't remember that long ago when I played. No, I doubt that.
That's back when dinosaurs were still roaming the earth, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. The game's changed a lot since then.
My point of that, though, is that you see these guys that are coming back now and they're coaching and taking active roles. And it seems to be, as I look back at them, it seems like it's the kids that were the most active and the hardest workers when we covered them are the ones coming back and continuing to help coach now.
I think it's a situation where when they went through what they went through, that they have such a love of the game or whatever, that they want to pass it down to the next generation. So if they have the opportunity to do that through coaching, they do it, and there's so many quality people out there that coach that a lot of it comes from ground one, the love of the game, and wanting to pass on that love of the game to their players. So kudos to these guys for sure for, stepping in and, taking the reins, if you will, to coach.
Coach Curry, you're blowing a chat up here, buddy.
I was worried about that.
You got some fans out there.
Well, let's come down to Bushnell, and let's fill that pretty gym up.
And that is, let's talk about the gyms, because there are two cool gyms here. Justin talked about they're going to play at Washington Street, and you obviously have Bushnell's gym. Let's talk about Bushnell's first. Bushnell's gym, I don't think anybody could argue that it's probably one of the best gyms in the area, maybe the state.
And it's also good that you can use that as fuel the fire to the kids. This is our home court. It's one of the nicest gyms in the state. We got to make it mean something. We don't want to make it mean for an away team to come and they enjoy our gym. No, we enjoy our gym, and then we can go enjoy their gym as well. But no, it's a beautiful gym. Just for my first year to get to coach, to be in that gym, it's pretty cool.
Justin, the Washington Street gym, old school. The seats are cool. Yeah. I mean, it's concrete bleachers with the wood seats, and it's the circle or the domed roof. And, I mean, it's just too cool over there.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat. When you just sit there and take a picture of the empty gym, it's a neat picture. And the girls love having their own gym, having their own space. They have a really nice locker room, and it's off campus. It's off campus from the high school, and I think the girls kind of like that, having our own little spot to play. But that gym is amazing. The floor's a little wavy here and there. There's it's kind of like me. It's got a little character, so a little rough around the edges. but it's got character, and I think that's what makes it cool. You know, that's what's neat about high school basketball. It's different than anything else, you know, that going to these gyms. I remember playing, we won a couple sectionals, and the sectional was always at Bushnell, right? The sectional was always at Bushnell.
They used to sell tickets and the whole bit back in the day when you played.
Oh, yeah.
You remember?
They'd have seats up around. They'd put folding chairs up around
my
the top.
freshman year, I had to put 2 rows of folding chairs up around the top of that place, actually. So, yeah, I mean, every seat's still numbered to this day. They used to sell per-seat tickets. You only got so many tickets. I mean,
sure,
it's not like that anymore.
No. And I remember, I think it was my sophomore year when we got there to play Bushnell in the sectional final, I believe it was.
I think it was. But it might have been final.
It might have been. I think we beat Liberty in the semifinal, and I think we played because I think Bushnell upset Warsaw, if I remember right. But anyway, we got there. The games would have been at, 7 maybe, or –
probably
the championship game maybe at 7, and I remember, and we rolled in at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and there was a line, out around that junior high gym, and I think they ended up putting people. There's is there an auditorium or something that I think they put just people in the auditorium and turned the radio on. The people, there wasn't enough seats, if I remember right. So. So that's what's cool. Everybody that's played high school basketball, girls and boys, they have these memories of those things, and Bushnell's definitely up there as far as gymnasiums and kids love playing there.
Yeah. And I think as far as Washington Street goes, once you get some people in there that make some noise, and the nights that the band comes in there and plays, it's just that adds to the atmosphere too. Just the way that's set up, and once you get some students in there and start, raising some cane, and
the student section's always it's pretty valuable, for any school, and we're lucky at Macomb. We have pretty good following for that sort of thing. So we're going to try to get them a little more. I've got a couple good ideas about getting the student section a little bit more involved in some games this year. So. If the school allows it,
I knew where that was going.
Yeah. Or as our buddy Jeremy Anderson always likes to call them, is the cronies.
The cronies are always loud.
Got to take care of the cronies.
Yeah. So I might not ask. I might just do it first. But anyway.
But how's that saying go? It's better to beg for forgiveness than to ask permission.
Yeah, something like that.
It's easier anyway.
Yeah. So, but the student sections are they're at Washington Street. It can get rocking pretty good. I know. Just talking to just a couple referees. They say, "Oh, I love coming there and reffing games." They just the atmosphere of that.
And they can always go on the other side where the coaches are and hide from the students, or the students' side to hide from the coaches, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's probably part of it. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of guys like reffing in Macomb because they always come up here after the games. They come up here to the sports corner
and just eat, of course.
Right. Yeah, they might have a cocktail or two.
Yeah. But I remember the days. Of course, they still got that old scores table up there on the one side there, where both the players' benches and everything were on that side, and that other side was, of course, they had bleachers way in the way back day. And the one year where they were redoing the bleachers out at the high school, where they played the boys' games there at Washington Street, where they brought in bleachers and had them set up on the other side there, and
I didn't know
that was quite a trip.
Yeah, good old days.
That made it as loud as it can get for girls' games. When they had boys' games in there, they were really rocking because of being in there and everything and everybody else.
Sure.
Coach Curry, what can we expect out of BPC boys this year?
We're going to fight. We're going to be high tempo, high intense defense. That's the first thing. Until they can prove to me that they can shoot, well, we're going to play defense.
How many times have we heard that? Until they prove they can shoot.
I mean,
if I had $1 for every time I heard a coach say that, I would have my own desert island somewhere probably.
Coach says, the game's changed since he's played. Well, I've been out 20 years. Game's changed quite a bit since I've played. So, everyone loves the 3-ball. I made a joke the other day in practice. Imagine it's 1950 and there's no three-point line, focus down low. But, you could be the greatest shooter in the world, and some days you just don't have it that night. But you can have cardio and you can have defense that night. So on nights that we're not shooting well, we're sure as heck going to play defense.
You know, from my days of basketball, cardio means suicides, down and backs.
Z-lines, yeah.
Yeah, they made – I heard them walking out of the locker room the other day, and they're like, I think we've done over 100 down and backs. And I'm like, and your legs are jello, but your legs won't be jello in 2 or 3 weeks, boys, and you're going to be able to go all 4 quarters. So
that's the whole point, isn't it? So what can we expect out of you? You said there's going to be some changes, and you're instituting some new stuff. Is it just verbiage, or is it
a little bit? Yeah, a little bit of that is verbiage, but no, it's just defensively how we'll play. We're gonna do zone full court press sometimes. We're gonna mix up a lot of defenses. So. Which is tough when you're teaching those. We have 2 or 3 different man-to-man defenses. We got 3 or 4 different zone defenses. So, when you're teaching that, when you're building the foundation, it always takes the longest, and that's the hardest. And, when the girls, when you're working on something for more than about 10 or 12 minutes, and I don't know, coached a long time, it's they start to lose a little bit of, focus, so you kind of got to get to the next thing. It's like, okay, well, we'll just have to finish that.
Circle back.
Yeah, circle back on that tomorrow, but you want, especially as a rookie coach like me at this level, I'm wanting to get it all in, right away, and that's just not how it works. So, that's number one, I would say, is just the different types of defenses we're doing. That's kind of what Coach Fox, Coach Frey used to do back when I played in high school. And confusing the other team on what, they're bringing it up. It's like, oh, well, they're in, what is this? What is this? Is this a 1-3-1 or is this a 2-3? And, we'll run a lot of different things like that. And really, offensively is not so much, we can – all of us coaches, we can make up plays after play after play after play and get them buckets, but I keep telling them it's more about the principles, not the plays. If you're not open on the wing, you can't just stand there, right, and just expect you're going to get.
That's not how that works.
And
darn it! As much as I've called basketball, I'm not sure that's how that worked.
Well, sometimes they can get, because they just think, well, I need to be on this spot, right? Well, in the play, yeah, you are, but once you're not open, that play is kind of dead. So the principles. We're trying to put in the principles, not so much the plays. What to do when things don't go right. And, that's kind of hard to learn without just playing. You just got to go play. So I haven't done a lot of down backs with the girls, as a matter of fact, because and a lot of the girls have asked me, because in junior high I used to have the first 30 minutes was conditioning. We call it the dirty 30. And all the girls heard about that. They're like, Coach, we having that 30-minute thing. We having that, and I haven't, because I've wanted to work on more principles than the conditioning. So
that'll be next week when he realizes the principles are okay, but the conditioning's not there.
The conditioning might be
5 games in 6 days.
So I could see if we do this in 2 weeks again, these two are going to be doing the opposite.
Right. Yeah.
We already did all of our running. We do a lot of our running out of our full court drills, so they don't love it, but if they miss a layup, that's a down and back. So I'm like, we have to teach perfection, because even if you miss on perfection, you should be pretty dang good. So now we're doing really well on making layups and making jump shots. I have to come up for reasons why they got to run now. So
sure.
I may have told kids when I was coaching baseball that if for every error in a practice you're going to run a 90-foot sprint, because I was tired of them goofing off and not doing it. And we may or may not have ran 27 of them one night. But you know what? The next night there was only 13.
So there you go.
Better every day.
Something to be said about progress.
Yes, that's right. So I totally get it. Guys, you've kind of went over when your first games are. Obviously, you kicked things off with the Tip-Off Classic.
Yeah, it's going to give my wife her best birthday on November 24th is our first game. So we play West Prairie. Coach is sitting over there. So Yeah, we're going to see both these coaches real soon here in a couple of weeks. We have our Meet the Spartans next Friday night. We're going to do things a little differently this year. We're going to do a JV scrimmage, varsity scrimmage. But in between that, we're going to introduce, the cheerleaders, the junior high girls and boys basketball team to kind of get them excited about the program, because that's what we need. We need a lot more. We need to reload every single year. So if we can get those young boys and girls excited about the program, it makes my job easier, because then I've got a lot to pick from the talent side. So, and we've got a lot of good talent coming up. A great freshman class just came in, a lot of kids, and then that 7th and 8th grade class is very talented as well. So it's a good time to get in as a Spartan. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, guys, Shelby, you got anything else?
I don't think so. I do need to track down both these guys, though, so I can do my previews for the news briefings. So I'll have
That means do not leave until he talks to you tonight.
All right, sounds good.
Sure thing. Well, thanks for having us out. Yeah.
Hey, no, we appreciate you guys coming out, and I know the people watching at home appreciate getting to hear what you guys have to say. We've got Coach Conklin and some Coach Anderson guy. I don't know, he's been around a year or two, coming up after the break. Sheb, we surely got some good Coach Anderson stories. I got some good Coach Anderson from playing in men's league about 25 years ago stories. We'll leave those alone.
I remember back in his playing days at the good old green and white at good old Avon. So
Oh, the good old days.
He was like a second teamer for me, I think, one year, if I remember right. I think he still gives me grief about that.
we can talk about that.
I've got that picture at home. Yeah, I got that picture when we were on the Coach Anderson and I. We were on the what was it? The Macomb Journal All Area. Yeah. So,
second team. You were only a second team or two?
No. I honorable mention. I thought he was on the first team. I don't know. I remember Frankie Burlhart was on there. Coach Doc Stortson was on there. Who's the other good kid from? Yeah, Mark, Coach Sandstrom.
There were some dogs back in that day, back when you guys played.
Getting that laminate. We're going to put that up here at the sports corner there in the hallway there. So.
I think you should get it framed to heck with laminate and blow it up.
I can't afford that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe you start a GoFundMe or something.
There you go. But, yeah, we'll have Coach Anderson's picture up here.
We'll do it soon. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with Coach Conklin and Coach Anderson in just a few minutes, live from Sports Corner at 124.
My name is Kelsey Cunningham. I'm a nurse practitioner with the cardiology department here at McDonough District Hospital. Cardiology is like a big puzzle. A lot of things can be traced back to the heart, and to see somebody in your office at the beginning of the process really down on themselves and, not feeling like their best self, and I think in their mind never really thinking that they're going to recover from that, to fast forward 6 months where they're back doing things they once did. It's the ultimate goal, and I love to see it happen.
I'm Lindsay Schaefer. I'm a physical therapist specializing in pelvic floor physical therapy here at McDonough District Hospital Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation. Young women, a lot of them have pelvic pain. They don't realize that it's something that they don't have to live with anymore. It's very common for people to have urinary leakage. And I always say it's common, but it's not normal. It's not something you need to live with. I also focus on hip pain, back pain. It's all kind of connected. Any age really can benefit from it.
Whether it's an emergency situation or an outpatient scan, McDonough District Hospital's radiology department offers the test you need right here in Macomb. If you need an MRI, a CT scan, ultrasound, x-ray, a bone density scan, or to schedule an annual mammogram, our experienced radiology staff will provide high-quality, compassionate care. McDonough District Hospital, your community radiology partner, growing our legacy one patient at a time. Every McDonough District Hospital sports medicine and rehabilitation patient receives one-on-one appointment times with a licensed staff member. They develop a personalized recovery and treatment plan to turn your setback into a comeback. We offer physical and occupational therapy, vestibular rehabilitation, speech-language pathology, cardiac and pulmonary rehabilitation, dry needling, and pelvic floor therapy. MDH, your community physical therapy partner, growing our legacy one patient at a time.
When you trust your healthcare needs to MDH, you'll receive the highest quality, compassionate care from our nationally accredited medical departments and award-winning staff. We are here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing exceptional care right here in Macomb. We also accept Aetna, HealthLink, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and most other insurance plans for your convenience. McDonough District Hospital, your regional healthcare partner, growing our legacy one patient at a time.
Here at MDH, we provide one-on-one care to our patients. This allows them to feel supported and empowered during their labor process. The Tower of Power is a cart full of tools and resources to help support women during their labor experience. Items include massage therapy tools, aromatherapy, personal care items, music therapy, and features our labor menu.
We provide a celebratory dinner to each family to congratulate them on their new little one. We strive to create a safe and supportive environment where each mother's unique birth plan is respected.
I think the rewarding parts of my job are seeing people over time and getting to know them and getting to know their families. And that's very exciting to see them and get them better over time, especially if I'm able to find out something that other places haven't. And that's kind of what drew me to family medicine. You know, I try to get along with people and treat them as I would my family. Do what we can to get the patients taken care of day in and day out. It's pretty supportive. I'm Dr. Michael Waters. I'm a family physician here at the McDonough District Hospital Family Clinic.
And welcome back. You see the two roses in the middle are the same, but the thorns on the side have changed. That sounds about right, doesn't it, Shel?
Whatever you say.
Coach Conklin is to my left. Coach Anderson is to Shelby's right. Macomb and West Prairie, and you guys are of the coaches that were able to make it tonight, you guys are the old hat, especially Coach Anderson. I mean, he's been around forever.
If I'm a senior.
Yeah,
you're surprised by that.
Yeah. Is this year 3?
This is year 3 varsity.
Yeah, year 3 varsity, and you're already the old hat in the house.
Yep.
How's that make you feel, Coach?
Kind of crazy.
Does that make you feel younger, Coach Anderson? That old hat's 3, and we can just not talk about how many years you are?
I want to go back to that all-area team discussion because I'll tell you right now, I'll take that team that Shelby put together for that newspaper clipping, and I'll play anybody. And I would never get off the bench. That team was loaded.
Oh, the good old
Yeah,
days.
that was. Yeah.
You give me those guys right now, and I'll see you in Champaign. That team was
like right now.
Yes,
absolutely. Or from then.
From then, you know what I mean. Give me
I was going to say they'd be a little bit older by
1992
now.
version of that team. Holy cow! No, that was. Boy, it brings back a lot of good memories. But no, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you to you guys and for all the exposure and notoriety that you give all of our programs. We really appreciate it. I know the kids really do too. And it's another basketball season. It kind of crept up on me, to tell you the truth. It really did.
I think you're far from the only one. Like, when I mentioned earlier, it just kind of seemed like one day we were talking volleyball, football, and ball, and now here we are. It's basketball.
Right, and we were so busy this fall. My daughter Reese playing volleyball, and then. Like we mentioned there earlier, that I kind of subbed in for Tanner doing some of his practices, the 8th grade guys, and so I don't know if that got me a little bit more ready for my practices to start. But the fall season at the high school was really, really successful. We had a playoff football team made the second round of playoffs. We had kids make it the state tournament, running cross country, and just a lot of our programs did a really nice job this fall. And so kind of the winter sports were on hold a little bit, right? Just mentality-wise, right? We weren't quite ready for it, and then, boy, bam, right there it is. And so we better be ready, right? We only have, like we said, 12 practices before we start playing 5 games. And one of you has already given me the business about complaining about that, but I'm telling you, man, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, I was giving you business about that, right? That's
it's not easy to do.
You know what? I'm just going to point out that the 3-year veteran hasn't complained one time about those games.
Well, that's his. That's his
yeah,
prerogative. When you've been around longer, you get a chance to complain more, I guess.
I'm not at that point yet.
You're just going to do it silently, right?
That's all you can do.
So let's talk about some basketball, and we had a couple new coaches up here. And Coach Conklin, you're not very far away from being one of the new coaches. And Coach Anderson, you've seen quite a few new coaches come and go through the years. Do either one of you guys wish you were in their shoes right now?
It's hard starting from scratch, right? It really is. Even when you change schools or when you're first hired onto a team, you're starting you're going to instill your own philosophy, but you're going to try to build relationships from the ground up. I think something that Justin has going for him is he knows a lot of those girls from coaching them before and even in different sports, and so I think it'll go really well for him. But the key to it is to try to get the kids to trust you, right? You're going to install trust. You're going to build that relationship based on mutual respect, and then you do basketball after that, or you do football or baseball or whatever you're coaching. You build that relationship first, and I think Justin is such a good relationship builder that it's going to go really well for him.
Coach Conklin, you were the assistant coach for a year or two, right?
4.
For 4 years? Was
yeah,
it that
4
long?
years.
4 years, and then you became the head coach. And you know these kids pretty well now, and when you stepped into the head coach role, you kind of knew them anyway.
Yeah.
But do you think that made your transition easier, or did it make it maybe a little more difficult because they had to look at you in a different light?
I felt like overall it kind of made it easier, especially teaching them, because I taught them in junior high. So once I go junior high to high school, you kind of have that rapport and kind of that sense of respect with them. So overall, I thought it was kind of easier to kind of transition, and kind of when you take over kind of that new role and that new responsibility, of course there's an adjustment period, but we got a great group of kids and they're all respectful and they care about each other. So when you got a team that thoroughly enjoys, playing with each other and they're all friends, I mean, it kind of makes it easy.
You probably have to feel pretty good about where you're at as a program. You got some good kids coming in as freshmen, and you've got that nucleus class of juniors this year that I think you feel like have to be the ones that carry you forward a little bit farther this year.
Yeah, we have a great kind of older group that has kind of been at it for 3 years now, and so that kind of builds continuity, kind of makes it easy transition. They understand the expectations, kind of what we're asking of them, day in and day out, and then having that new group of kind of talented freshmen coming in. I mean, they understand they have that competitive nature and their kind of will to succeed. So just kind of having that balance, and 23 kids total within the program, which is kind of different for me and Coach DeCounter. But we're kind of getting after it and taking each day.
Coach Anderson, you've had some good success the last couple of years. It seems like every year you lose some kids and somehow you figure out a way to retool. You're kind of in that same situation again, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been really spoiled. We've been spoiled with great groups the last 5 years, really, if you go all the way back to the season we only played 14 games, right? Since then, we've just been rock solid. We've had a lot of really good players that were willing to play unselfishly, to play with really great effort, to be coachable, and they've had a lot of success. And so, like Coach was mentioning, hopefully that continuity builds, right, that those habits become ingrained from the older groups to kind of pass them on to the next group in line. And I think this group of kids that we have this year are really hungry for that, right? They've seen the success that the groups ahead of them have had. And, boy, that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and that's what you strive to do. And I think that we have the will. Now we just have to go out and prove ourselves, right?
Shelby, you spend a lot of time with these two teams, and you and I have both seen this West Prairie class kind of come actually from 7th and 8th grade all the way up to now the junior class. And it's fun to watch these kids. And some of these kids are their parents are kids we watch play too.
Yes, I reminded on a daily basis about seeing second-generation athletes.
I know. I just want you to know I'm there
that's
too
not
now.
a bad thing. I mean,
not at all.
It, being able to, to see that, and I think in Coach's case here, it's his 3rd year as a head coach. So I mean, in that bunch he leaned on early was freshmen, and then now sophomores and now juniors. So obviously, they've kind of building things, but the thing people need to understand with that, it still doesn't just happen. You still got to put in the work, still got to put in the time and effort, and with that, the expectations are going to raise, and they probably should raise. They should expect more out of themselves, going forward, and I'm sure coaches pretty much told them, when the rubber meets the road, it's going to be time, and they need to be ready.
Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. Every year that I've kind of had these kids that are now juniors and seniors, we've kind of gradually improved. It hasn't always been this easy. I mean, when they were freshmen, we won like 4 games, and then kind of when they were sophomores, we won 14. So kind of this year when they're kind of juniors and seniors, with a little more experience, that we expect to hopefully continue to take that next step as a program.
I was always told that the best thing about freshmen and sophomores is that they become juniors and seniors.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Anderson, you I don't know, is it a luxury to have the classes like you have, and that you got that group coming up? You always know you got the group coming up, but then you also have to make sure you can get them guys to work together the next year?
I think it's all about expectations. Those are going to drive your effort level. They're going to drive your loyalty level. You're going to live up to what you think your own self-expectations are, right? In any given situation, sports is no different. If I have those really high expectations, then I'm never going to settle for less than my best effort. Now, the really, really good teams are the ones that everybody believes that, and nobody wants to be the guy that lets the group down. And so if you can instill that into your players or into your program, then the basketball is timing and just going over sets, those types of things. The expectations are really what rules it all. We've been really, really fortunate that we've had groups that were self-motivated, right, with really high self-expectations that were successful in all the different sports. Let's go back and think about like when we had Connor and Connor, Connor Ham and Connor Watson. It was really easy for me to coach those guys in basketball because they'd already proved themselves on the golf course, right? When you're out there all by yourself and you have to believe in yourself and have those really high expectations. Okay, so now come to basketball. The pressure didn't bother them because they were used to that type of situation, right? Well, they're out there all by themselves. How many really good football players have we had? Like, let's take this year's team. They have Drew Watson and Nolan Hogue, which are going to be our 2 senior basketball captains. Well, they never left the football field, right? They're already used to being in those high-pressure, high-expectation situations, and so they'll carry that over into whatever sport they do and then for the rest of their life also. And so as the coach, you just want to try to, again, instill that pride or help them realize that pride, and they'll play to the level of their expectations.
Is it a case where, with the success you've had in recent years, I mean, is it kind of like a mounting deal where it's like, each group maybe feels like, hey, we don't want to be the ones to drop the ball on this and try to keep this thing rolling?
I don't know if you can put that kind of pressure on certain guys, right? That because every year is different, every situation is different. But I do think it gives those kids motivation, right, to be the next group that gets to hold a plaque up at the end, or to get a big picture of themselves uptown at the sports corner, right? I mean, that's something that'll be there for a long time, and the guys will be able to come in here and one day show their kids, right, hey, look at that picture, I was right there on front row of that. And so I think that it does instill a lot of pride into it, but it takes a lot of hard work, man, and the ball's got to bounce your way.
It just doesn't happen, does it?
It just doesn't happen. Think about how fortunate we've been in some of those postseason games where, our kids laid it on the line, there's no doubt about it, but we got awful fortunate at times too.
Coach retires and he becomes a comedian.
I deal with that every day. I deal with that every day.
I'm telling you what, you guys were engrossed in conversation, and the retired Coach McCormick steps
Coach
around the corner.
I saw him.
And starts harassing Coach Conklin here. Some of your kids, Eli DeCounter played football, but some of the kids didn't play football.
Yeah.
And didn't. So they're focusing on basketball at your school. You being a football coach, maybe you did or didn't like that, but those kids, I would think that level of expectation becomes a little higher if that's what you're going to focus on, right?
Yeah, well, we had Coach DeCounter because, of course, I was a football coach. We had Coach DeCounter kind of curb some of that open gyms, but they were willing to get in the weight room. They were asking for opportunities to get in the weight room. So seeing that as their basketball coach, I mean, I thoroughly enjoy that because that's one of the things that we need to improve upon is kind of getting stronger as a team because we're not the tallest team, so we can't kind of lean on that. So we got to get stronger, and so hopefully with that they kind of put in some time in regards to that, and so that's exciting to kind of see those results.
You mentioned expectations, Coach Anderson, and I interview you after a lot of basketball games, and I would venture a guess that 80% of the time expectations is one of the things we talk about. Expectations are not only individual, right? They're team-oriented. They're at every level. Expectations are important, aren't they?
Sure, right. And I think all coaches go through that roller coaster ride of exactly what their kids expect when they take the floor, you know. And I think if one of us could figure out how to fix all of that, you could retire from teaching and coaching and go around the country and give speeches and make a lot of money. And this is how you do it.
You can have your own desert island.
Because there's. I think it's just human nature, right? You know, why do kids walk into certain classrooms and know they can behave certain ways, but they know they could never get away with that when they walk into a different one? It's because the expectations are different. And so when you take the floor, you take the field, a lot of it depends on where are you mentally, right? How willing are you to put in the effort that it's going to take to compete with the team that you're playing with. And so that's something that coaches battle all the time. But I think the best players are the ones that can keep those expectations high and again, never settle for less than their best effort. That's a lot easier said than done. A lot easier said than done.
Your expectations this year, you've got a 1,000-point scorer coming back, right?
Yeah, Braden Copeland.
And he's only a junior.
Yep.
So obviously other teams have expectations of Braden Copeland, which I suppose makes you guys have expectations for him, but in turn that means other people have to do other things and maybe step up a little more than they would have expected to 2 years ago.
Yeah, as a team, we expect to kind of have more options and develop more options, offensively, and the other guys kind of understand, that they have to step up, and we got to improve our game kind of across the board if we want to get to where we want to
go. Coach, anything? Since you have to bring different players in every year and you're changing things out, you don't tend to like to run up and down the floor a ton, but I've seen you do it when you have the right players. Does anything change this year drastically from what we've seen in the past from you?
I thought maybe we would go full Loyola Marymount press the entire game. Try to get a three up. Try to get a three up within the first 7 or 8 seconds of the possession.
7? I thought it was 5.
You think I'm going to give away anything in this round table? I mean, I don't know how many people are watching this.
I can't even believe he even bothered asking that question.
We're going to start with playing really solid half-court man-to-man defense, and then we're going to hope that we can keep the other team from getting a decent shot and hopefully not get a second shot, right? And then down at the other end, we're going to try to work it until we get a really good one. And I don't know how that's going to go, right? It like you said, it changes every year. I think we have some guys that are perfectly capable, but we're going to have to learn to work together really well, right, to get those really good shots. So I would hate to admit it, but I do want to try to play a little faster. Right now,
you don't.
Right now, we'll see how that goes.
I don't believe that.
when the tournament starts. But, yeah, I think that's how guys want to play, right, that they want to get out and they want to go a little faster. But we just have to make sure that we're making good decisions when we're trying to go fast. It doesn't do you any good at all to go fast and make poor decisions. It doesn't do you any good to play slow and make poor decisions. But, I do want to try that and see how it works and still make sure that we're getting a really good shot every time.
In my defense, no matter what question I ask and no matter how you answer it, everybody knows what your idea is going to be. They don't have – Coach Conkle's over here smiling, shaking his head.
See, that's why I'm one of the few people that's anti-shot clock, right?
Because you would hold the ball the whole 8 minutes,
no,
wouldn't
not
you?
necessarily. I don't think that you can get away with that as what you could have a long time ago, right? Very rarely do you see people just blatantly stall. Right. I just don't want to turn it into you're going to have 25 seconds because everyone's going to play 3/4 court press. And so when you get the ball to your own end, now there's 25 seconds on the clock, and you're going to have to make really, really good decisions at every possessions quickly, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with working the ball until you get the right guy, the right shot. And so that's kind of how I've always felt. So, yeah, but it's time to evolve, I guess, right, because it's coming regardless of whether I want it to happen or not. And so I just teaching kids how to play. I think that's something Coach Elby talked a lot about was not necessarily running a lot of plays, but teaching them how to play and still having that structure behind it. I think it's something that is a daily challenge, but that's what the best coaches do probably.
Coach Conkle, I think that's one of the strengths of your kids. They've played together so long, and they've been under your realm now for several years. They seem like they play well together, even when things when the play doesn't go right, they still have an idea what to do, and you've got some good basketball minds on that team.
Yeah, they kind of understand where each person's going to be at, and so that's nice to have. I mean, especially since they've played with each other for as long as they have. So in anything that we do, they kind of know, hey, this person's overplaying, so I need to back cut, or hey, obviously I need to go screen that guy and I'm going to slip. I mean, just doing that for 3 years now, we're kind of at that point where it kind of works well for us.
And we talked about Braden. Everybody's going to look at him, right? He's going to be what everybody expects to be your go-to guy. But, I've talked to Sam before. Eli DeCounter is a kid. He's not the most athletic kid on your team, but he might be the most basketball smart kid on your team.
Yeah,
he has knowing what to do and when to do it.
Yeah, by far he has kind of the highest basketball IQ. He kind of knows what everyone's doing at each given play. And he does everything well for us. I mean, rebounding, he's one of our best passers. And then he can put 8 to 12 points, any given night. So just having that kind of all around and kind of that person you can kind of lean on, kind of slow things down when it's kind of necessary and put people in the right places and communicate, accordingly, that's nice to have.
And you have Whitman, who tends to just be a bull in a china shop sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of like, hey, I'm going to go get my shot. It's kind of everyone else has had their shot, so I'm going to go get mine. But he's kind of our defensive catalyst. I mean, he normally guards, the team's best guard, and he's willing to get after it. So just having that guy that kind of understands his role and kind of what he's, kind of willing to do on the defensive end, that's kind of nice.
Coach, Coach Anderson, you've obviously know those players on your team, but do you coming into a year like this where you lose seniors every year and you have Watson and Ho, those two guys, but you're going to figure out who's going to be your best defensive player. So you don't get that 3 years in a row having that same guy being the same thing, do you? You're kind of switching that out and figuring that out, or do you see it coming year after year?
I think it depends, role-wise on the group itself, and guys are willing to step up and take on those challenges. Every year you lose seniors and they're huge shoes to fill, right? We went from having Ian and Dion and Big Jake that are right over here on the poster, and those guys were so strong inside. Well, then the next year we didn't necessarily have that same type of team, and so we're going to have to make some changes, and guys are going to have to step up and fill those roles. Coming out of last year, we had Braden Holthouse and Malachi Conley, who made so many good plays for us down the stretches of games, and those are some tough shoes to fill also. But I think we have a lot of guys that are anticipating getting the opportunity to try to step up and take on those challenges. And so far in the practices, we've been doing really well of trying to fill those roles. Right? I don't think the best coaches know in November what exactly it's all going to look like, right? It's going to take being in the heat of competition when you know which guys will step up for you and make those plays in pressure situations. But I think we have a lot of guys that are really looking forward to that opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah. Guys, you talk about all these different things, but how do you feel players as far as basketball IQ? Do you feel that maybe some of them people have kind of lost their way a little bit as far as maybe watching the game or, learning from watching the game or those aspects, or how do you guys feel about that?
I would just like to see the kids play more often without it have to be structured by the coach, right? I would love to see them play at the playground. I would love to see them, play more pickup games just to learn to play and learn how to play with one another or how to compete with kids that are a little bit maybe older than they were. That's what we did when we were kids, right? We went to the park and we played or we organized our own games, and, the days that you had the opportunity to play against the older guys, that's probably when you got to be better. And I don't see that type of thing happen as much as what it used to, and I'd like to see that type of thing more often. I think you learn a lot by doing that, of playing unstructured. Nowadays it seems like the only time we'll get a lot of guys to play is if we call for an open gym, or in the summertime if we're going to go play in the league games, right? I'd like to see them play more often.
Yeah, so I would just say just becoming more of a student of the game, watching film, being detailed on our scouting reports. I mean, we provide resources, for the players, whether that's we put everything on film, hey, watch what we're running offensively, what we intend to do defensively. And so, coming into practice, having that as a resource, being able to use that resource and then implementing that, for practice, and just kind of being in tune and, just honestly, like we set up like a Google Classroom, for example, and put all of our information on there and just going on there, being a student of the game.
You guys talk about playing, and you are a good basketball player in Avon.
I wouldn't go that far.
You were a good basketball player for Avon.
Avon had a lot of really good players.
I know that.
I don't deserve to be anywhere near that.
But my point of that was, you talk about playing with older kids.
Yes.
You're in a small school or a small town. I grew up in Smithshire until I was in 5th grade. So you play with. If you don't play with kids older than you, you're not playing.
Sure, right.
So you get better just by doing that.
Absolutely. I think it forces you to have to learn how to play the game, right? You're not going to be able to rely on being bigger or stronger or, more physical. You have to learn how to play the game, and I think that's something that we need kids to do more of. Absolutely. And to do it without, the coach having to call it.
Right.
Right. And to see that type of thing. And
everybody's got a phone now. You should be able to call your friends. We used to have to ride our bikes to everybody's house to get them to come.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we're missing a lot of that. We're missing a lot of things that guys used to do for fun, right? And it also made them better along the way.
Coach Conklin, you said to be a student of the game, and one of the things that popped in my head when you said that, and watch what you guys want to do, and both of you may be able to comment on this or your opinion on it. I think kids watch the NBA a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know that a kid can learn a whole lot from watching the NBA. I'm dang sure you're not going to learn what most kids can do by watching the NBA. So I used to think that you could watch sports and become better and learn some things just by watching. But if you're watching the NBA and you're a junior high kid, you're probably not going to learn a whole lot. Do you kind of feel that way as well? Or?
No, I agree with that. A lot of our kids watch the NBA, but they're more interested in what they're wearing or how they look or what type of shoes they have. So, if anything, watch a college game. It's a little more similar to kind of what we're doing. And half the time in the NBA, I don't even know what a travel is anymore. So,
what's your take on that, Coach Anderson?
I just don't think there's any replacement for playing, right? And I think that's where the real learning happens. I don't watch a lot of NBA games until the playoffs, right? When the college season's over, then I'll watch a little bit more NBA. But I think there's ways to learn the game by watching, absolutely, if you know exactly what you're watching for, right? I think if you could watch NBA players and learn how to have spacing and learn how to move without the ball because they're the best in the world at it. And so if you really know what you're looking for, then you could learn something from those games. I think probably one of the things we're missing out on as far as coaching high school kids is, can we challenge them enough in practice against better players, right? So when we go to the games, it's really hard because they haven't had that challenge in practice, right? And so can you put them into situations like in disadvantage drills or whatever where, okay, yes, you're 3 against 4 on this drill on defense because we're trying to simulate what the real world's going to be like. Right. Okay, every time I do something like that in practice, it works perfect, right? Because they know the drill or they figure the drill out. Okay, so now when we go and do it for real in the game, a lot of times it doesn't translate. And so just being able to challenge them in practice, I think, is something that's really hard to do. That if you have enough kids that were like evenly matched, right, where you can have really competitive practices, I think that's such a huge advantage. And a lot of us don't have that luxury.
You were talking a little bit about you've never had anywhere near that luxury. You might have it a little bit more this year. You had 23 kids out this year.
Yeah, so that's exciting for us. I mean, normally we're used to about 12 to 14 players, and then, if anyone's sick or not at school or, has an excuse absence or whatever, I mean, then you're pretty thin at practice and what you're trying to organize and what you're trying to accomplish. So having 23 kids now, we're able to kind of split up our sides and kind of mix and match and, go about it like that during practice.
That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to with the group that we have this year is having some really competitive practices. I mean, I think there's a lot of playing time available, and it's going to be fun to see who steps up and takes that playing time in practices, right? Because, the thing about coaches having favorites, you're darn right. You're darn right I got favorites. I want to see the guys that are going to work hard, that are going to do things the way we want to do, right? That we've decided this is how we want to do it, this is how it's going to benefit us the most, and let's see who's willing to do that. And I think our group this year, it could be a lot of fun doing that in practice.
We've talked a lot about your juniors and your freshmen coming in and stuff, but it's not like that junior class has 5 kids that all 5 of them can't be replaced or whatever. So there's even in a team that you've got that leadership group or that nucleus, there's still spots, kind of like Coach Anderson says, that guys need to work to try to fill those spots, right?
Yeah, we have, a few guys. Austin Nelson's one of them, kind of one of our football guys that kind of understands his role and kind of a sense of physicality that we, kind of have missed in the past. And so he's kind of getting caught up on everything we're trying to do. And then we have a few more pieces, that have kind of, grown up a little bit that we expect, a bigger season from.
Well, let's before I let you go and before Shelby asks his last thing, we hit the tournament. You guys are both in the tournament to kick off the season, and we joked about it, Coach, and I gave you a hard time about whining about it, but it is hard. Just that Spartan Tip-Off Classic playing all those games back to back to back to back with Thanksgiving thrown in the middle.
Right.
It is hard to start a season like that, I would imagine, isn't it?
I think it's really tough. I think it's really difficult, the preparation, right? And I feel better as a coach when you go into games really prepared. Well, when you're going to go you have no idea what you're going to see, right? You have no idea. You don't have a scout on anybody. You may get to watch a half of their game. Like the third team you play, you may have watched them for a half the first 2 nights or whatever. And so the 12 practices that you get, or the 12 days of practice that you get leading up to it, you're trying to cover anything and everything that you might see for 5 games. That's really tough to do. And so what I end up doing anyways, or what we end up doing, is a lot of the stuff we just talk about. Like, hey, if we see this is what we want to do. If we see that, this is how we're going to handle it. We may have to go back later on and then try to, actually work on that. But it is really difficult. But I will tell you this, though. I'm much more comfortable with starting at the BPC tournament than I was starting at the Jacksonville tournament, right? And it's just the logistics of it more than anything. The last year that we went, Brock and I, we figured it up. We spent 9 hours on the bus alone for the week, right? It was 90 minutes there, 90 minutes back. That's just on the bus. That didn't count getting ready for the games or playing the games, right? And at that time, both of our families were really young, right? Our kids were all really young. Now, when it's 20 minutes door to door, I'll take that every time, right? And it makes it a little bit easier as far as how long the week gets. But I know our guys, like we talked about before, you were talking about with the other coaches. I mean, they really like to play in Bushnell's gym, and I think it's a fun atmosphere. And the other thing that's really cool for us, right, is we'll get kids to come to those games.
Right.
Nobody was going to Jacksonville.
Right.
Sorry. I mean, we might have gotten 2 or 3 sets of parents might have went to those games. We might have a student section at Bushnell, right? If we can get them riled up and get them excited to go, it's a little weird, right, because there's no school on some of those days. But I know that in the last couple of years we've had pretty good crowds come to those games, and so I think it's going to be fun. It tests you, though. It really does. Like they talked about, it tests your conditioning, it tests your discipline, it tests your being able to prepare really quickly, and so yeah, it's I don't know what the answer is, though. Do you just try to play a couple games that week instead of playing in a tournament? One of the things I'm really happy about, though, is that they added a fresh soft game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I was actually hoping they'd add 2 or 3, because our fresh soft kids, typically they start practicing the same day the varsity kids do, and they don't play for a month. You know how hard it is to keep kids interested, and they don't have any games, and so at least they get 1 game that week. I was kind of hoping that they'd do 2 or 3, but just to give them something to look forward to.
Yeah, I can agree with Coach. Starting off in that tournament, it's quite the gauntlet. I mean, we've kind of seen those teams. We kind of have some information, on them, but personnel changes every year, so we don't know what they're kind of going to do for that year, and so we do practice, different things, and through practice and kind of different forms, hey, zone, man, this is what we're going to do, in accordance with that. But it's a lot of good teams to start off the season.
Obviously, the toughest thing for both of you guys, and I mean everybody else too in that tournament for that matter, is you don't get any practice time in between games. It's just like game, and then Thanksgiving.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
even like in the mornings or whatever, you may do a walkthrough, or before the game we'll walk through or whatever, but it's not the same as
Right.
actually being able to practice.
Right. And so when you go to the first couple and you say, wow, we didn't do that very well, and we really need to fix that, you don't have any time to fix it. And so then by the time you get into the next week, well, you know what our next week looks like, right? It's at Geneseo Q&D.
Right.
Okay, so boy, you better get stuff figured out in a hurry because
We're just going to take Saturday off.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
Saturday off
So,
and fix our stuff.
yeah, and so you really hope you're doing a good job those first 12 practices because, man, the habits that you're installing right now are what they're going to revert back to, right? You revert back to the level of your training. Boy, you better start putting in good habits right away because there is no practices that week of the tournament. And so, yeah, it's really tough. And you can say I'm complaining about it all you want, but, man, it's hard to do. That's why, and I love football, right? I coached football. I was on the football staff at Abingdon for 10 years, and like watching football. And the football guys, man, they get one game a week, right? And I don't want to hear how tough it is to scout and all this kind of stuff. Do 5 games in a week and then tell me how hard it is to scout, right? I mean, football's one game a week.
Coach Conklin said
I'm not taking anything personal.
not saying a word, he says. Not saying a word. Oh, man. Well, guys, Shub, you got anything else?
I don't think so. It's just like we were talking earlier. It's just hard to believe we're at that time already. So looking forward to see what happens. Looking forward to bumping into these two rascals every so often. And
well, don't blink because it'll be holiday tournament time here before long.
Oh, gosh, don't remind me.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's going fast.
That's going to be here soon enough, fella. We don't need to speed things up a little bit.
That means
and
I tell you what, man,
what,
your holiday tournament show, that's going to be interesting because that thing is loaded, and there's going to be some teams that draw opponents in the first round that they're not going to be very happy with because there aren't any.
You can't get away from them.
No, absolutely not. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll do that here at Sports Corner at 124 also, and we love doing that. Guys, I appreciate – is there anything you guys that we haven't hit on you guys want to say about your team as you're heading into here before we get out of here?
I'm just really looking forward to our team, right? I mean, the effort I know that they're going to put in, they'll be rewarded in the end for it, regardless of how many games we win or don't win. It's going to be a fun group of kids to coach, and it'll be an interesting journey with them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just excited to get started. Practice is kind of one thing and stuff, but we got a lot of guys that are kind of ready to start playing some games, and they've been doing kind of open gyms, and they're kind of ready to get after it.
Does the excitement really go away, though, guys, when you get ready to start a new season? Is it kind of like, when you're getting ready to dive into your first practice or whatever, I mean, is it kind of like Christmas Day for you coaches? Is it like the excitement of it?
Yeah, it's exciting to me personally.
It's more like going over to that slot machine, Shelby, and hitting all, the jackpot.
Or like a bingo.
Yeah,
huh?
absolutely.
So you might crap out, too. Is that what you're
I've
telling
been there. Absolutely. You know it. But I tell you what, that team that Shelby put together in 92 wouldn't have crapped out. I'm going back to that, and I'm going to, yeah.
I'm going to have to try to go back and
You
see
go find that picture that he was talking about, and I'll tell you, if we had that group, we'd be all right. There'd be no more complaining. I'll go to Bushnell 5 games a week every week with that group.
No coaching necessary.
No.
Not only would Coach Anderson not play, he wouldn't even have to coach.
I wouldn't even have to. I'd be the kid that had his warm-up on with no jersey on underneath.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Shelb, thanks for coming
Appreciate
with me again.
Anytime, buddy.
Long for the
I'm
ride.
like a bad penny. I'll always turn up somewhere.
Yep. Coach Mack hopped in the live
of
chat,
course he
by the
did.
way. Coach Curry had all kinds of fans in there, but you guys only got one from Coach Mack.
It's pretty late, so.
It's after 8 o'clock. It's past everybody's bedtime, right? Coach
Oh,
Anderson?
shoot, I got to go home and watch film. Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah.
What time is it?
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be doing basketball next week. It's the Lady Bombers tournament from Macomb, and then your girls team starts next Wednesday. I think
They start Tuesday down at Rushville.
Yeah, but they have a home game Wednesday. I think at the 20th.
Home game Thursday. Against Brimfield.
Yeah, so
varsity only.
Time flies when you're having fun. So
Obli-dee, obli-die.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again very soon. See ya.